You think you've got my number figured out? A motive born in drought and brevity. And if I'm not the soul of your design, I blatantly decline your remedy. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Wasn't always just a single shade, a palette full of gray in reverie. And I can burn it brighter than the sun. I have a golden gun inside of me. Don't box me in, don't, or I'll leave. I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else. And if I fall behind, ignoring all the signs, if I lose the fight, I still rage against the night. Don't box I'd rather be a dreamer, I'd rather be free, I'd rather be a leader, I'd rather be a queen, I'd rather be a singer in a trashy cover band. I'd rather be a closer, I'd rather be clean, I'd rather be a poser in a magazine, I'd rather be pretty much anything else than your machine. Simple, dear, I'll still be here when you're gone. You gather souvenirs, but I will never be your pawn, your pawn, your pawn. My love was in till it's perfect.
Somebody who deserves it. If you put the work in, you can earn it. You and me together could be perfect. Put the work in, cause I'm worth it. And I think I found somebody who deserves it. If you put the work in, you can earn it. Got the kind of body that I wanna put my body on.
Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Turn up the heat, don't stop till it's perfect. Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Turn up the heat, don't stop till it's perfect. Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Turn up the heat, don't stop till it's perfect. Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Work it, work it. Turn up the heat, don't stop till it's perfect. How could you do that to me? You got me bouncing off the walls while I can't breathe.
Welcome to the Monday stream. I hope everyone's having an awesome Monday. Welcome, everybody. Sorry about that. Sorry about the delay, folks. We are here. B-Ree, how's it going? Michael Hasser, how's it going? Wolfglen, how's it going? Welcome, everybody. Phew. I hope everyone had a good weekend. Great, how are you? I'm hanging in there. This time zone thing has got me messed up. Honestly, I'm about a skip and a hop away from just going to sleep. I'm not even joking. I'm about to make more coffee. Yeah, I can't do that. I can't do that anymore. If I make coffee, I'm not sleeping. Good day for a stock market crash. True. Another one happened, didn't it? All right, folks. It's time for us to get started. Don't forget next week. Okay, it's already here. Next week I won't be streaming as much. Okay, because I won't be here. But I will try to make at least 1 or 2 streams during that week. That is next week, the 17th. Folks, if you want to keep up with the channel, I highly recommend to join the Discord. I usually make announcements. Ladybug, welcome. So that being said, we'll get started. But yes, next week, folks, the streams will be a bit limited. So just keep that in mind. I'll make announcements on the Discord as well. Folks, before we get started, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you guys here. Thank you. If you want to support the channel, keep liking the stream, keep subscribing. It really does help us out. We're at 285 YouTube subscribers. So that's pretty good. And keep following us here on Twitch, where we are at 2,519 followers here. So thank you guys. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys. Make sure that you check out the Substack, Discord, all that awesome stuff. If you want to support the channel directly, check out the merch store and the exclamation mark tip. Appreciate you guys. That is amazing. Thank you. All of this, incidentally, has happened pretty recently, so I appreciate you guys doing doing the things. All right, folks. Let's. I think we should probably start here. I think.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cops to protect one Cybertruck.
Hundreds of New Yorkers showed up to a Tesla showroom in Manhattan to protest Elon Musk and the Trump administration. So in this video, I'm going to show you a few clips of that and break down what happened, as well as explain why people are hating on Elon Musk. How could you hate on such a lovely Nazi billionaire? Well, let me help break some of that down if it isn't already obvious. So Common Cause is a pretty good breakdown here. $290 million was spent by Elon Musk to elect Donald Trump, and you saw what that bought him. And 2 million federal employees have been pressured to resign or take a buyout. That figure from ABC News. Also worth noting here, his approval rating is 36%. That's according to Newsweek, which seems a little high to me. I saw another number that was 34%. I think as more information gets out there and people are more aware of what Elon Musk is actually doing, that number is going to continue to drop.
Yeah, I suspect so.
Let's get to some of those cuts, because, you know, this idea, oh, we're going to cut waste from the federal government. Yeah, that's what we're doing. The reality is they are cutting essential employees. So NOAA said to be planning to shrink staff by 20%. This will hamper the National Weather Service's ability to produce life-saving forecasts, including when it comes to hurricanes and other natural disasters. The Trump administration is also planning to cut 80,000 employees from Veteran Affairs, which is obviously going to have a clear impact on veterans.
Yeah, and also a percentage of those employees are veterans themselves. Yeah.
They're also planning to slash the IRS, which means Americans may have to wait longer to receive tax refunds. But not only that, this from the International Consortium of Investigative Journalists, after mass firings, the IRS is poised to close audits of wealthy taxpayers. This is the thing we have.
Yeah, so where the money is, presumably. So that's cool.
You have to keep coming back to.
I mean, like, that is blatant, man. Blatant corruption. I gotta love that corruption. Grandma is gaming. Thank you so much for the follow. Welcome. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Any of these cuts are not going to hurt the very wealthy. And in fact, many of them may help their bottom line, at least in the short term. In the long term, I think we're seeing how this is mobilizing the vast majority of people against the wealthy. It's not going to help them looking at it from that perspective. But in the short term, it may benefit them, including not having to be audited. So this is the consistent theme throughout all of these cuts. Another example of that, cuts to the Labor Department, which of course helps to protect labor rights. So again, working on behalf of big business and the wealthy. So as Common Cause summarizes here, the takeover playbook, these are not minor administrative changes, but rather part of a full-scale takeover attempt. Musk, an unaccountable and unelected billionaire, is pushing to control public spending, dismantle the safety net, and reshape our way of life to suit his interests. It's clear what's happening here. Musk and Trump aim to replace qualified civil servants with political allies whose loyalty lies solely with them. Their goal, slash billions from essential public services to benefit their billionaire friends.
True. I'm a vet on Social Security, and Trump and his cronies, I'd be very worried living for impeachment. Yeah, I'm sorry, Grandma's gaming. I hear you. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people in this predicament because this a-hole has decided that his billionaire class is more important than people like you.
Exactly. And the argument is, well, but it's going to help the economy and people are going to be better off because of these slashes. Look at Trump. Trump, who lies all the time, cannot even lie himself through this answer.
Let me stay on the economy for a moment because there are rising worries about a slowdown.
And like she's trying to like do the biggest. I've seen parts of this, parts of these clips. I don't know if this is it, but throughout like this interview, from what I've seen, man, she really tries to give this clown so many freaking exits, so many freaking off ramps. It's unbelievable, and he can't do it, right? He just flounders it and goes, yeah. I mean, it's just gonna have to be the way it is. Pain is coming, folks.
Got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherit.
Which, by the way, this is 100% true. Like, this is exactly what the Atlanta Fed posted or found.
A mess, and you said that the other night.
I've only been here,
but are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that.
So just to be clear, like, economists absolutely can predict things like this. Not with 100% certainty, but like the data doesn't lie. You know what I mean? Like for example, when we see like a bunch of polls, right? A bunch of polls saying that perhaps a political person is going to win 8 out of 10 races, then like chances are this person's going to win their race, right? So when we say that, like, when economists take a look at everything and say like, well, it's more than likely that based on these numbers that it's probably we're probably heading to a recession, then like, I mean, I don't know, man. Sounds like you can make predictions. Him trying to Tootsie slide his way out by saying he's only been here for a little bit. Yep.
There is
not to mention, as you point out, not to mention like his tariffs have crashed the market, has thrown the markets into chaos because of all of this uncertainty between putting on tariffs and putting them off for a month, but then like now it's only some tariffs, but now like it's just this back and forth.
Period of transition, because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing.
Oh.
And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time.
A little time for what, bro? Listen, man. It takes time, okay, to build the economy, but it doesn't take that long to just freaking destroy it, man. All you have to do is say a couple of words and the market crashes. For example, I'm going to put these massive tariffs on our largest trading partners to the south and north of us. That's it.
It takes a little time. Not a very encouraging answer there. And this is a guy who could have just said, no, of course not. Things are going to be great. It's going to be fantastic. He's not even able to do that because of how bad things are and how much worse he knows they're going to get. So let's get back to Elon Musk. This, I want to mention Common Cause. They attempted to put out an anti-Elon Musk ad, and the Washington Post, under their new directive, because Jeff Bezos now has full control over, at least what the op-ed page is saying, but over the direction of the Washington Post, they rejected the Elon Musk ad. So this is their ad. Who's running this country? Donald Trump or Elon Musk? Since day one, Elon has created chaos and confusion and put our livelihoods at risk, and he's accountable to no one but himself. The Constitution only allows for one president at a time. Call your senators and tell them it's time. Donald Trump, fire Elon Musk. So firemusk.org. The Washington Post would not run this ad. Now,
that's so freaking absurd, man. Democracy dies in darkness indeed. By the way, I did write to my congressperson, my Republican congressperson, and to no surprise, I got like the most BS answer response back, and I will try to get to it this week, but I do want to share the response that I got, because it's just like classic BS, but I also want to make sure that I'm prepared to refute the nonsense talking points that were given as a response to a concerned constituent about Elon Musk and the whole Doge situation and this whole rogue executive. But yeah, we'll see. We'll try to cover it at some point this week.
let me get to the backlash that Elon Musk is facing. So Tesla's for sale. Buyer's remorse sinks in for Elon Musk's EV owning critics. There are many stories about this. I gotta say, if for some reason I owned a Tesla, I never have, never would. But if I did own one, I could imagine not being very comfortable right now driving it around, and would trying to sell it for a much better EV that are many others are on the market that are worlds above where Tesla currently is. But that's one impact. Tesla sales are also plunging worldwide, including 76 down 76% in Germany. And here we get to the acts that people are committing, put it kindly. 7 Tesla charging stations torched near Boston. So, people arguing, well, Tesla, they're good because you got all those charging stations. Maybe if this keeps happening, you're not going to have many of them left. But that's one example. Oregon man accused of throwing Molotov cocktails shooting at a Tesla dealership. So in January, the same guy, that's when he torched or attempted to torch a dealership. And then a month later is when he shot into the Tesla dealership. And now the massive protest in Manhattan. So Planet Over Profit appears to have helped to organize this.
Also, there was an incident in France over a Tesla dealership as well. So, yeah. Also, we have a chance to win the House back. There's 3 special elections coming up in Florida, New York. Yep, I know one of them. Gabe Alamont in Florida, Josh Whale, and Blake Gendabane. Yes. That is true. I actually interviewed Josh Whale when he originally tried to run for Senate. So yeah, I'm definitely hoping that he wins his race. Not just because it has the potential to flip the House even before the midterms, in which case that would be a pretty, I would say that would be pretty good. Because at that point, like, even if the Dems, don't do anything till the midterms, if they at least control the House, then that means the brakes will be pumped to a certain degree. Hey, imagine if the Democrats lost the midterm elections. That would be super funny, sad, and catastrophic. Well, I don't know. I don't think that fascism is funny at all, actually. Perhaps sad and catastrophic, but I don't see it funny. No one will stand up to Trump and Musk because they're afraid of him and losing their jobs. I'm so proud of Canada for standing up to him. Vance is only a figurehead. Heat, how's it going? Josh Whale, yes, go and show some support, especially to these 3 elections, because it's coming up in a couple of weeks. And it could change control of the House. That's how thin the margin is here. Good to hear. I'm hanging in there. This freaking time change is kicking my my behind here.
This writing, breaking, hundreds of New Yorkers have swarmed and shut down the Tesla dealer in Manhattan. 6 have been arrested after occupying the showroom. Protests are erupting across America to reject Musk's billionaire regime. This is how we beat fascism. Mass direct action. Let me play for you some of these clips.
My name's Frankie, and I'm getting arrested today protesting Elon Musk. He bought his way into office. He bought his way into heading a government agency. He bought his power.
Also, by the way, Bernie Sanders is doing his Fight the Oligarchy tour. So I also highly recommend that if you can, to sign up for the email mailing list, because apparently the upcoming dates aren't really public. So you kind of have to be on his newsletter or whatnot because of security concerns. If our government did kick out Musk, Trump would just sell him a gold card. Yeah,
expense
true.
of the American people, at the expense of our environment, at the expense of our world, and all of the people in it.
If you're still watching ads in 2025, you're doing something wrong. If you're tired of being...
Now compare this sort of energy, this kind of organizing, what people are doing out in the streets. Compare this to what the Democratic Party, which is supposed to be the opposition party, what they are doing.
Oh, we'll get to that in a bit.
Or lack thereof. This past week, 10 Democrats voted with Republicans to censure Democratic Representative Al Green, the man who stood up and voted.
No problem. Thank you. Wizard of Lizard, exercise 2A, defend yourself against Nazis. Well,
protested.
I don't disagree about defending yourself.
Donald Trump during his speech. The Democratic Party does more to criticize their own for doing anything than they do to actually work on behalf of everyday people. It has just been disgusting to see how little Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer are doing right now. Now, to be fair, there are members of the Democratic Party that are trying to fight back. Bernie Sanders, who, to be clear, is an independent. But this past weekend, much like last weekend, or I think it was, last weekend, he did a couple of speeches with thousands of people showing up. And he's trying to help organize people and get them mobilized and understand that any sort of change that's going.
Hopefully Bernie won't have hecklers and disruptors storming his speech during his tour like the BLM activists during his 2016 primary run. So sad and frustrating.
Going to happen is,
okay.
Is on them.
This isn't a campaign event. This has nothing to do with a campaign. This is about rallying people together against oligarchy. It's literally called Fight the Oligarchy Tour. This has nothing to do with campaigning.
You can't trust the Democratic Party. Bernie has said that himself, and you can see by what they are doing that that is not the solution right now. So it's good to see people banding together and understanding that it's going to be on them to change anything. Worth noting here, there was also a protest, or there was going to be. I haven't seen many videos from this, but in Chicago Police Department out in force protecting a Tesla dealership. How pathetic is this? So this was in response to, there was supposed to be, and I guess there may have been, but again, I haven't seen much on this, an indivisible Chicago protest.
This is like the best illustration as to like when people say that like cops only protect property or cops only protect capital. Like this is the image, right, that comes to mind. Yeah, let's just not meme too close to the sun. Yeah. Bernie will be giving speeches and hopefully they won't disrupt it and cut short by BLM activists like during his campaign back in. What does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with BLM activists? This is a Fight the Oligarchy tour where people are getting together, right? The whole point of what Bernie is doing is to get people together and spread class consciousness to rally people together. This has nothing to do with campaigning. This has nothing to do with activists disrupting his speech. Like, what is this? This is so freaking weird, man. I just hate black people, to be honest. Susie Citizen, thank you for the follow. Welcome. I remember Trump telling some senior voters if they vote for him this time, they will never have to vote again. This is where he's heading. President for life is his goal, whether it's called monarchy, dictatorship. He does want to eliminate democratic elections. That's what I think. I mean, I think that if he had the option, he would. I'm not, disputing that he would. He is very anti-democracy. Trump is heavily anti-democratic. And, I mean, he tried to finagle the 2020 election, the 2024 the 2020 election specifically. So yeah.
So this was in response to, there was supposed to be, and I guess there may have been, but again, I haven't seen much on this, an Indivisible Chicago protest of Tesla. Indivisible is very peaceful in any sort of action they take. So to have this kind of response to an Indivisible protest, I don't know, a little ridiculous, but this is a situation that things are in right now. I expect people to continue organizing and doing this. This is, you know, as long as you have an unelected billionaire like Elon Musk just openly.
I just don't care. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. Exactly. Welcome, Bipedal Meatbag.
Cutting the government in ways that are directly negatively impacting the average person, you can understand why people are angry and why they are organizing.
Yep. Exactly. Shut up about eggs. Don't hassle me about egg prices. Okay. So we were talking about the Democratic Party and their lack of, anything really.
Today, hundreds of people calling on him to be more aggressive toward this White House, to stand up faster, to stand up more firmly, to fight harder against Trump and his top campaign donor. It happened to Leader Jeffries again the very next day in Oakland, California. This was outside an event where Congressman Jeffries was giving remarks. Hundreds of people gathered outside demanding that he do more.
We came in with a clip of Stephen Colbert telling Democrats, do something. We've had other people on this show, Democrats being critical, saying that you and Hakeem Jeffries and other Democratic leaders on the Hill aren't doing enough. What is your plan? What can you do being in the minority?
I don't mean to be Captain Obvious here or anything like that, but the reason why it feels like Democrats don't have a plan to save us from fascism is because they don't have a plan to save us from fascism.
Excruciating.
In fact, a lot of...
The DNC is a lame duck. They've tried nothing and they're all out of ideas. Yeah, thank goodness, man.
Democrats,
you know, when I expect fascism to be like banging at the doors, I expect the opposition party to, you know, color coordinate and raise signs like they're at a auction.
Who, in theory, should be opposing fascists are collaborating with them instead. I mean, many of them voted for Donald Trump's cabinet picks, and all of them voted for Marco Rubio, and some have already expressed regret for doing that because they naively thought that Marco Rubio, of all people, would stand up to Donald Trump when anyone could have told them that that wasn't going to be the case.
Like, who is advising these people? Who is advising these people? Like, I'm genuinely curious. Like, how do you think that anyone would, quote, stand up to Trump? Okay? That's not how this works, right? Like, anyone with, like, a sense of logic would tell you that, like, the Republican Party is captured by Donald Trump. There's no standing up to him. The Dems never expected this, even though we were warned. Marco Rubio is, yeah, agreed. Did they run out of the hats? Yeah. That's okay. They color coordinated.
But it's not just that they're confirming his cabinet picks when none of them should have gotten any votes from Democrats. They're also going along with some of the fascist policies that Republicans support. For example, 58 Democrats in the House and 12 Democrats in the Senate voted for the Laken-Riley Act, which is an unconstitutional piece of legislation that denies undocumented immigrants, including Dreamers, by the way, due process rights. One of those senators was Alyssa Slotkin, the former national security advisor to war criminal President George W. Bush, who also voted to confirm 8 of Donald Trump's cabinet picks. And she was also selected to give the Democratic response to Trump's joint address to Congress, where she then lionized Ronald Reagan, who is one of the worst presidents in American history, whose hyper neoliberalism and explicit racism paved the way for the fascist takeover that we're dealing with today. And if that's a rising star in the Democratic Party, then I can assure you that things are not going to get better anytime soon. Meanwhile, though, other supposedly rising stars like Gavin Newsom are resisting Trump by launching podcasts where he's platforming fascist propagandists and open white supremacists like Charlie Kirk. That'll show him, Gavin. Hey, quick question. How often does Joe Rogan or Don Jr. or Steve Bannon or Charlie Kirk himself platform liberals or leftists? Not very often. And there's a good reason for that. But I need people to understand that the Democratic Party doesn't have a plan to fight fascists because they would literally rather collaborate with them and hold hands with them instead. And that's not hyperbole.
We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel.
Jesus Christ.
We stand with Israel.
That's the two leaders of the supposed...
I forgot about this. I wish I could have memory hold this, and now it's back to the front.
Resistance, collaborating with fascists at a pro-genocide rally. So if you're wondering why Democrats aren't fighting fascists, it's because they don't want to fight fascists. The goal is to wait out the clock and hope that Americans grow desperate enough to come running back to them with open arms in the next election, just out of desperation. That is, of course, if we're even able to have a free and fair election again. And it might sound like I'm being too uncharitable by insinuating that the plan is to literally do nothing, but I can assure you that that is the actual plan. The plan is to do nothing. Because in a guest essay for the New York...
Oh, yeah. I heard about this. Yeah, just roll over and play dead, okay? Democrats, as fascism speed runs its way through the country, as fascism speed runs its way through the country, you should play dead and let the right wing trip over itself. Okay. Yeah, if we nominate Trump, we'll get destroyed and we will deserve it. Lindsey Graham. AIPAC will definitely give more money to Republicans and Dems, but all the most powerful Dems are AIPAC Dems. Yeah, it is a pretty absurd plan.
Democratic strategist James Carville argues that doing nothing is actually a daring strategy, writing, "With no clear leader to voice our opposition and no control in any branch of government, it's time for Democrats to embark on the most daring political maneuver in the history of our party. Roll over and play dead. Allow the Republicans to crumble beneath their own weight and make the American people miss us."
Yeah. Look, when the camps... okay, start happening, right? That's when people will start to wake up and then they'll vote Democrat. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, time to possum. He thinks it's still the 90s. F. Carville. Yeah, he's not.
That's the plan.
The last person I want freaking giving advice is James Carville. Okay?
To do nothing. Just sit back and watch while the country burns to the ground so you can swoop in like saviors in a couple of years. And while they play dead, they have the audacity to blow up our phones with nonstop text messages asking us for money while they do nothing. It is fucking insulting. But that's the plan. Change nothing and just hope, cross your fingers, that eventually everything is going to turn out in their favor. As Lisa Kaczynski of Politico reports, the new DNC chair, Ken Martin, is opting for a stay-the-course approach. And instead of shaking up things, he's giving promotions to people who ran losing campaigns. Brilliant strategy, Ken. Almost as brilliant as your plan to only take money from the good billionaires. But I mean, it's obvious that they have no plan to change anything, and their strategy is to just do nothing. Well, I shouldn't be too uncharitable because it's not like they're literally doing nothing, because they are at least pretending to be busy. And I say this because when Rachel Maddow asked Hakeem Jeffries what he's doing,
Carville, he thinks it's the 1890s.
to meet the moment, and respond with the urgency needed at a time like this, he responded with the most Democrat response in the history of Democrat responses.
Policy doesn't feel like it's the main conversation right now. It feels like we are in the middle of a ketamine-fueled, middle-of-the-night, autocratic power grab that is rendering Congress irrelevant, that's rendering policy irrelevant, and that's rendering the rule of law.
Yeah, because, like, this is no longer about policy. Like, I mean, seriously, what policy is being passed right now? Right? Seriously, what policy is being passed right now? The only law that has been signed is that Laken Riley Act. That's it. They're all millionaires. Why would they need our money?
An afterthought, if not a joke, to those who are planning on staying in power indefinitely without benefit of further
That's true. It will never be enough.
elections. I mean, it is
Project 2025 versus Project Deadbug.
I mean, it is about a bad budget. That's one of the things you have to contend with. But the fight here feels like it's on a different scale than the kinds of legislative point-counterpoint stuff that I think Democrats and Republicans are used to fighting over. And I think what Americans are sort of clamoring for is to hear from you personally, as the senior Democrat in Washington, in the House where the margins are so narrow, to hear from you that you understand the scale of the threat and you have ideas about how to interrupt what feels like something that we have not experienced since the Civil War in terms of the threat to our republic.
Imagine getting scolded by Rachel Maddow.
Launched a rapid response task force and litigation working group. It's going to be led by Joe Neguse and, of course, a brilliant constitutional lawyer, Jamie Raskin, to be able to respond to and work with our allies like Tish James and others in part of what we are responding to. Listen, Elon Musk and Donald Trump, they're flooding the zone in part to create distress, to create a sense of invincibility and inevitability. But the reality is, there have been more than 75 different lawsuits that have been filed by democracy reform groups, civil rights reform.
Okay, but that's fine. But what are you doing as the House leader? Okay, like your job isn't to do lawsuits, right? Like all these activist groups and lawyers and all that. Great, they're handling that stuff in the courts. What are you, Hakeem Jeffries, minority leader in the House, doing? Okay, like getting together a freaking crew, to do what exactly? Yeah, what leverage do we have, Hakeem Jeffries? Lawsuits, that'll scare him.
Groups by attorney generals like Tish James and others, and we're winning in court. They're losing.
Well, I'm sure that Trump is just shaking in his boots at the thought of a task force. Yeah, how fucking tone deaf. It's like, I want to laugh, but at the same time, I can't laugh because this is a serious moment. So I want to take it seriously, but it feels like a parody. Like, it feels like what they're doing is so laughably inconsequential that it's almost satirical.
2025 is in full swing. And if, despite your best intentions, your inbox already looks like this.
But this is real life. Now, part of the problem is that Donald Trump and Doge, they're ignoring the courts, which is why Rachel Maddow tried to emphasize that the usual tools Democrats use to fight Republicans are no longer sufficient, and it's why she clearly tried to get Hakeem Jeffries to indicate that he's going to do something beyond what they usually do to address the ongoing constitutional crisis. But of course,
we need to get rid of Musk first. He'll be easier than Trump. Yeah, I mean, like, look, I don't know how they plan to do that. I don't know how they're going to get rid of Musk. To be honest, I think that even honestly, like they have to. First of all, the Republicans have to lose control, right, of the House, preferably of the House and the Senate, and kind of just like at least pump the brakes on this. And at the end of the day, after all of this is said and done, that guy needs to go to jail. That dude needs to go to jail. Don't worry, Chuck Schumer will be sending a strongly worded letter to Elon, or maybe if he feels up for it, he can make a tweet. Maybe if he feels up to it. He might make a tweet. Maybe he'll gather around and make like a speech, you know.
Hakeem Jeffries did not take the hint. Now, Joe Scarborough asked Chuck Schumer a similar question, and even though his response wasn't as bad as Hakeem Jeffries, it's clear that he also doesn't understand the...
I feel like Elon's going to get himself kicked out of things just by being himself. I mean, hey, that works for me too. Okay, that works for me too, honestly. If he just like gets so in the way of the Trump administration that they somehow get tired of him, sure, I'll take that. I'll take that too. You know, I thought that was going to happen earlier in the Trump administration, but it didn't seem. It seems like the bromance hasn't been broken. You know, I was hoping that maybe like Trump's narcissism would come into like would clash with Elon, but it seems like it hasn't quite yet. I mean, recently there was a really big moment of tension between the cabinet and Elon, and Trump actually ruled against Elon this time. There was a big spat between Elon and Marco Rubio, and Trump actually sided with Rubio on this one. If Trump and Elon get angry at each other, it would be mutual destruction. That's fine by me. Honestly, I'd probably like best case scenario. Best case scenario, they trip over each other and eat each other up, and nothing gets done. So I'll take that avenue too. SNL did an amusing opener about it. Gotcha. I saw the one about the Zelensky meeting just recently. There is still time. I'm actually surprised it hasn't yet. I mean, Elon is the richest person on the planet, so maybe like the one thing that's keeping everything together is the fact that like they need his money, right? So they're kind of like biting their tongue more often than they normally would. But I mean, best case scenario would be if they do actually start going at each other publicly.
Assignment.
Well, let me tell you our plan, which is a very good plan. The plan is to organize. The most important thing you can do is to protest, is organizing. It's not easy, but the American people are rising to the cause. So I had a...
Okay, but Chuck, oi! Yeah, man, we're gonna keep protesting. That's fantastic. We're gonna keep protesting, but like, we also need members of Congress, which you, incidentally, are one of the leaders in the Senate, need to do stuff. But they have been able to function without his money before. Yeah, but Elon is like literally like unlimited money glitch. So, I mean, I could be wrong. Not money. Trump needs his hacking expertise. Big balls. Is that what he needs? Why are the ex-presidents not speaking? Why are they silent? That's a good question, right? Like, you know, has anybody heard from like Obama? Has anybody heard from like even Biden? Y'all threw protesters in jail before Trump got elected.
A call set up with our major activists in New York State, you know, lots of them. I thought about 500 people would get on the call, 3,000 did. And here's what we decided to do. On the issues that so affect Americans, the cuts to Medicaid, Social Security, the tariffs, we're going to focus on the 6 Republican Congress members in New York State. As you know, the margin is so small in the House that only 2 would change, only two people changing their vote would help us win some of those fights.
Okay, but like, that's not... Oh, Chuck's serious. He got the red glasses on. Because they're complicit.
We're getting other...
Honestly, yeah, if I was... Actually, you know what? That actually brings up a good point because, like, you know... I would be very quiet, and I would probably be like Homer Simpson memeing, okay, if I was any of these ex-presidents, because yeah, they've all played their part to lead us to where we are.
Senators to go after Republican senators in their own states. The best way to do this is organize, because their actual program is so unpopular and so bad for the American people. I believe organizing has a very good chance of succeeding.
Yeah, very, very compelling there, Chuck Schumer. Now, to be fair, yes, organizing is important. Attempting to harness the rage of your base is a good idea. And going to red districts...
Yeah, so like... Yeah, so basically Chuck Schumer is like, all right, good luck, guys. Just like, I don't know. You guys figure it out. The guys who make the best presidents are the ones who read from the teleprompter and STFU. Not in my opinion, but it seems to be the trend.
Can make a difference. The question, however, is what are you doing in these districts? What are you saying to the constituents of these Republicans in these districts? Specifically, what is the alternative vision that you are offering people in these places?
Trump and Obama sat with each other during Carter's funeral. True. We do have to save ourselves.
Because even though it might feel cathartic to vent, you have to do more than offer a shoulder or an ear. You have to offer an alternative vision to give people something to fight for. Because simply promising a return to normalcy, as Biden did, clearly wasn't enough to defeat Donald Trump, as evidenced by the fact that Donald Trump is back with a vengeance. So what is your competing vision for the future, Chuck? What's the Democratic Party's Project 2025?
I mean, like, man, you've got Bernie Sanders out there at like 80-something years old, okay? Literally touring the country, okay? Trying to rally people together. Okay, and Chuck Schumer here can't be bothered to do much except, like, I don't know, tweet and tell us to organize. Okay.
That's what Bernie Sanders is offering with his Fight the Oligarchy tour when he goes to red districts. It's what other more progressive adjacent politicians like Tim Walz, like Ro Khanna plan to do when they campaign in these districts as well. But the difference between them and Chuck Schumer is that they actually have a vision. They seem to be more in touch with what the base wants, whereas Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries are completely clueless because they're not in touch with what the base wants. They're in touch with what the donors want. But I mean, just listen to what Tim Walz said about the expectations that he thinks the base is going to have moving forward.
When we get back, which we'll fight, I'll tell you what people are going to expect is they're not going to expect us to tinkle around the edge with the ACA. They're going to expect universal health care. And if there's a lesson here, I always said this, we had a 1-vote majority in Minnesota when we moved clean energy, we moved reproductive rights, we moved a whole slew of progressive, very popular, including things around guns and gun safety, very popular things. We moved it with a 1-vote majority. And people ask, well, what do you call a 1-vote majority? A majority. Simple as that.
Yes. That right there is the ticket. You can't just expect to keep skating by. You have to offer a competing vision for what you want for the country. And more importantly, you have to make that vision a reality.
Yeah, and you have to push for it, man. Like, you can't just, like, throw your hands up and go, like, well, sorry, guys, we can't do anything. Identifying and propping up candidates that are actually here for the people.
That Tim Walz did in Minnesota. But that is the fundamental difference between party leaders like Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and progressives. In an interview with Jon Stewart a couple of weeks ago, Hakeem Jeffries insisted that Democrats already deliver transformative change that Americans want, and he used the Affordable Care Act as an example.
Democrats have been quiet quitting before it was cool.
As an example of transformative change. And he refused to say the words Medicare for all, even though Jon Stewart tried multiple times to bring him to that as the obvious conclusion and what the base wants. So in Hakeem Jeffries' mind, the Democratic Party is dealing with a messaging problem, not a policy problem. And that delusion right there, in part, is what enabled Trump's rise in the first place. Because people across the country are desperate. They're working longer hours for lower wages. The cost of living is through the roof. They're bogged down by debt. The planet is dying, and it feels like we're circling the fucking drain. We need more than a few tweaks around the edges. These crises are going to require more than incremental fixes. It's going to necessitate a bold, transformative vision on the scale of the New Deal in order to meaningfully transform people's lives and satiate their hunger for change.
Yeah, I mean, like, look, wealth inequality, okay, is kind of like one of the pillars with this whole thing, because that is what's driving this negative feedback loop, right? This growing wealth inequality is what's driving this negative feedback loop of wealthy people buying politicians, which then favors, which then those politicians make rules that favor the wealthy people, which then they get wealthier, and then they exert more power, which then that gets exerted with policy, which then increases their wealth, which then increases their influence, which then increases their ability to buy politicians, which then increases. It's a negative feedback loop, right? So wealth inequality and the fact that there's this obscene class of obscenely rich class of people that are corroding our democratic society to the point where this is just unsustainable. I mean, that's the root, or at least a big part of what the equation here. If we want to take a bite out of the climate crisis, we're gonna have to confront this unsustainable economic system. We have to get money out of politics. Yep. When I think bold, I think Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. There's a movement and group called Money Out of Politics that has been forming. Yeah, and we just have to. That decision, the Citizens United decision, has to be worked on. Otherwise, we're just going to be spinning in the same circle. Speaking of, Netflix has a Trump comedian special now. Jesus.
But with that being said, even if you have a bold vision for the country, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're automatically going to know how to fight fascism, even though that's part of it, right? But I say that because, at Trump's joint address, Democrats chose to fight him, but their resistance consisted of them wearing pink and silently holding up signs to protest while quietly walking out one by one throughout the course of his speech. And no disrespect to people in that picture, because I like what they're doing, generally speaking. I agree with their policies, but what exactly does that accomplish, right? It's such a missed opportunity because another Democrat actually did what was needed.
Yeah, like, you have to get up there and disrupt them. Like, who cares, man? There was a town hall, right? Like a Democratic town hall. And one of the constituents stood up and said, like, hey, man, you tell us where to be, okay? You tell us where to be, and we will be there, and we will be arrested with you, okay? But you've got to do something. You've got to be the leaders here, okay? You're the elected members of Congress. You've got to lead. You've got to do your job. And if you want to call us to Washington, and if you want to be there, we'll get arrested with you, okay? Like, that's what the guy said. I'm paraphrasing, but more or less, it's what he was saying. And this is exactly what that looks like, right? If Al Green, right, stood up and started disrupting the speech, right, of this fascist, then, like, as soon as he's removed, right, the next member of Congress should have stood up and started disrupting until he or she is removed. Then the next member of Congress stands up and starts disrupting the speech until they're removed. And then the next member, like, you have to do it that way until it just becomes untenable for this speech to continue. And if anything, it would have been a symbol that that we're not alone. Okay, I love Jasmine Crockett. She has been on fire especially with her not called interviews, but her line of questioning and her just overall standing up to the Trump administration. Yeah, she has been fantastic. No one joined Al Green, and that was extremely telling. Yep. Make good trouble. Exactly. Make good trouble. Good trouble is the way. That would have been more impactful. 100%. 100%. Like, if Al Green, okay, would have been the first one, to get arrested, whatever, then the next person until, like, because how many Democrats are there? They're like 200 and something, right? You know what I mean? So they would have had to sit there and arrest people all night. Or not arrest, but like remove people from the house all night. Like, he didn't even get arrested, by the way. Like, nothing happened to Al Green, I was able to watch live, and I was yelling at the TV for them to stand up. Then the orange man started talking. I got nauseated. Yeah. Dan and Ominously, welcome. Hello. The majority of the elected Dems don't actually want to do their job. They just want the ego boost and paycheck.
Al Green, who stood up and disrupted Trump's speech, and he forced them to remove him. Now, critical support to Al Green, he's going to be censured, apparently, by Republicans. At least that's what they're trying to do. It may have already happened by the time you see this video, but make them censure.
Yeah, by the time that happened, indeed, as Bipedal Meatbag points out, 10 Democrats voted for him, and we named them. Very moderate Dems, Blue Dog Dems, and I think some of them were from the Problem Solvers Caucus, right? Yeah.
If you're not getting censured by Republicans, then you're not doing enough, I would argue.
Yeah, and who cares? Like, who cares? All of you get censured. Who cares? Like, seriously. As far as like what being censured actually does as a representative, you're still able to do your job, man. So who cares? Okay? Jared Moskowitz was a surprise.
But when I saw that at Trump's joint address, I was elated because I thought, oh my God, finally, they get it. They're going to disrupt his whole speech. And one by one, they're going to stand up after he gets kicked out. The next person is going to do it. They're going to get kicked out until there's no Democrats left. But of course, that did not happen. Instead, they just sat there quietly with their signs, not realizing that now is not the time for decorum. Fascists have taken over. It is time.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's wild that like decorum is still even being talked about in a playing field where that doesn't exist. Do you think that the right wing cares about decorum? They don't. They like literally wipe their behinds with decorum, okay? They don't care. The only time they care about rules, laws, the constitutionality, the procedures, whatever, the only time they care about any of that is when it benefits them. Otherwise, like, that gets jettisoned the minute that becomes inconvenient for them, right? We had a member of Congress, I believe it was Nancy Mace, who was saying who was saying slurs in the middle of Congress, and nothing happened to her. If I remember correctly, she said it 3 times, I think. She said a slur 3 times, and was told that that this was a slur, and it was brought to the person at the time, I think whoever the chair was, that this was a slur, and the only thing that person said was like, well, I don't know about this vocabulary, we'll have to look into it. And like nothing ever came of that. Nothing ever came of that. Oh, but if you disrupt the dear leader's speech, right? Like, that's a problem, and that's a breach of decorum. You know, when Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert yelled and heckled at the Biden State of the Union, right? Oh, that's not breaking decorum. Were they removed? Yeah, Beavis and Butthead. That's actually a pretty good descriptor. I'm gonna keep that. They're gonna be the female Beavis and Butthead. Yeah, 2025. They can be female. That's an insult to Butthead, to Beavis and Butthead. Oh yes, the one who cheered the rioters in their own workplace on January 6th suddenly care about decorum. True. Bipedal agrees. That's an insult to Beavis and Butthead. You know, I think was it Don Jr. and Eric Trump, to me, are the Beavis and Butthead. That's who I picture as when I think of Beavis and Butthead. I think of Eric Trump and Don Jr. But Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert also kind of fit the bill. Matt Gaetz actually looks like Butthead, though. He does. He really does. He really does. Like, unironically, he does.
Time for nonstop disruptions. It's time for good trouble. It's time for you to put your bodies on the line and get arrested if you need to, because we are dealing with a fascist threat.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so that's where I was going with this whole thing, right? Like, these people don't care about decorum. Fascists don't care about decorum, okay? Like, do you really think that, like, Trump cares if Republicans follow the rules of the House? No, he doesn't. Do you think that, like, it benefits Republicans to follow the rules of the House right now? No, because they're the ones in control. It's much better on my computer now versus phone. Yeah, I've noticed that, like, you're not the first person who's brought, like, this up, but, like, I mean, sometimes even it happens to me, where the Twitch app, or like the mobile app, just kind of is really, really just funky, so to speak. So yeah, like fascists do not care about decorum. They don't care about the rules, man. They're not interested.
But I mean, I can't be too hard on those members, because at least they did something. But even that was apparently too much to Democratic Party leadership, since Hakeem Jeffries insisted that they do absolutely nothing at all. And because they dared to hold up signs and boo Trump occasionally, he was reportedly ticked off, which makes sense since his apparent strategy is to just play dead after all. So, I mean, we're only as strong as a party as our weakest links, and our weakest links very clearly is leadership. Because if they don't even like that mealy-mouthed protest that Democrats did there, then nothing is acceptable. No.
Yeah, like, what are you going to do, man? I'm so glad I found this channel. I can't discuss this at home. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Leah Lancaster, thank you for the follow. Welcome.
Form of resistance is going to be acceptable. They just literally want Democrats to sit back and do fuck all. I mean, it'd be one thing if leadership themselves didn't want to do anything, but to also make sure that nobody else in the party does anything to resist Trump, that's just so much more worse. But it goes even further than that, because they also want to purge people in the party who are best positioned to do something. And sure, sometimes progressives aren't the most effective when it comes to messaging or when it comes to resisting Donald Trump, but to have a compelling vision is a huge piece of the puzzle that's missing that Democrats need. But they don't want leftists and progressives to ascend in the party.
Hello, Mark Barden here from Sandy Hook Promise. On December 14th, 2012.
And at a meeting at a resort between Democratic operatives and some elected Democrats, they claimed that identity politics and purity tests were the real source of all of their problems. They report one of the key ways to win back the trust of the working class, some gathered there argued, was to reduce far-left influence and infrastructure on the party, according to the Takeaways document. This is from Third Wave.
What do you mean, like, far-left influence on the party? You mean, like, advocating for, like, basic human rights? Is that what you call in far-left influence? I'm genuinely not understanding here. The far left influence of trying to, like, I don't know, get people healthcare. What is the far left influence here? The far left position of being anti-genocide. Help me out here, Jesus Christ. They call it purity tests. We call it having standards.
That included building a more moderate campaign infrastructure and talent pipeline, pushing back against far-left staffers and groups that exerted disproportionate influence on policy and messaging, and refusing to participate in far-left candidate questionnaires and forums that create ideological purity tests. Quote, in the wake of this election, where it became so evident that the things that the left was doing and saying deeply hurt Kamala Harris and down-ballot Democrats,
come on, get out of here. Dude, Kamala Harris lost that election by herself, okay? Like, she did not need any help, okay, losing that election. Okay? Like, now that we have the type of information that we have now, post... Not to, do this whole post-election thing over and over again. But, like, knowing what we know now, like, this election was already kind of cooked from the start, okay? This was not because of third parties. This was not this was not because of third parties, okay? This was not because of far left influences in the party, okay? This was a failure from the beginning, okay? This was a failure from the beginning. I'm gonna be honest. They don't like black women. We all know it's also cheating. They don't like anyone who is not white. Who is this left they're talking about? It beats me, bipedal. It beats me because, like, I don't know who this far left, like, influence is. Like, are you talking about, like, I don't know, like AOC advocating for Medicare for? I don't know. I don't know what the far left influence is. You mean like the people that are protesting anti-genocide? The people that are protesting genocide, I should say? I don't know. Like, I just feel like this is just like being like a normal human being. A normal human being that just wants what's right. A normal, empathetic human being that just wants.
People are looking to us, not just Third Way, but the moderates in the party, and saying we got to do it your way because the other way ain't working. Said Third Way's Matt Bennett, who helped organize.
It's like they can't or won't seem to figure out that the problem here is them. Okay, the problem here is that your way is not working. You've lost twice to Trump, okay? You've lost twice to Trump, okay? That is embarrassing.
As the February retreat. And to be clear, this is not the first time that we've heard this dumbass argument. Oh, if it wasn't for the left and all of their influence in the Democratic Party, Kamala would have probably won. Except you can't rewrite history, especially if it just happened. Kamala Harris ran the campaign that Third Way wanted her to run. She didn't focus at all on identity politics. She rarely mentioned
exactly. Like, what far left influence exactly are we talking about here? Did she run like a Medicare for all platform? Did she run like tuition-free college? Did she run for workers' rights? The democratization of the workplace? Like, I explain this to me. It's like that Simpsons memes. Like, am I the problem? No. It's the far left activists that are the problem. Understood. Quad Bennett, Canada's new PM. Yes, from what I understand, they elected a they elected Carney, which, if I remember correctly, Carney was the head of the Bank of England and the Bank of Canada. Tuition-free college would boost our economy in the long run. 100%. 100%. Like, investing in your citizens, especially with education, with healthcare, with housing, like boosting funding for these kind of things, where it stimulate the economy. 100%. T-minus, welcome. Her anti-immigration campaign sure seemed leftist to me. True. Good evening, Blue Brother, welcome. Watching Trump turning the U.S. into an autocracy with fear. Yeah, I mean, it's here. It's here. Twitter was hit with a cyber attack and Elon is blaming Ukraine. Yeah, sure, bud. I did see that Twitter was down earlier, but I didn't realize it was a cyber attack. You know, maybe if Elon would have kept the infrastructure intact with the right amount of security, they may have had a little bit more defense. But that's what happens when you run a company the way Elon does, and that's exactly, incidentally, what he wants to do with the government. Leave us exposed. Oh, it was anonymous. Anonymous took claim on that cyber attack. Nice. I mean, that is extremely wrong, and hacking public service announcement, hacking of any kind is really bad. Yeah. Sure.
LGBTQ plus rights, didn't even reference trans rights on the policy page on her website aside from the T in LGBT. She was extremely hawkish on foreign policy. She was pro-business, pro-crypto. She was right-wing on immigration. And in the last stretch of her campaign, she campaigned almost exclusively to moderate Republicans with Liz fucking Cheney. How exactly did the far left cost her the election? She ran the campaign that they wanted her to run, and she lost. She didn't support progressive policies like Medicare for all, or free college, or full student debt cancellation, or a housing first policy, or a weapons embargo on Israel. I can go on and on. She ran a milquetoast Republican light campaign. They all said that she should run, and she lost. And all of the excitement was centered in the beginning of her campaign when she brought on Tim Walz, until of course they muzzled him. But yet, they had the campaign that they...
This stream does not condone hacking. Supposedly. Allegedly. That is the case. There's a joke here in Germany. Historians don't even need to study the 1930s Germany anymore. You can just watch the U.S. in real time. Unironically, yeah. Like, actually, because you are a historian, you can kind of see, like, obviously it's not going to be exact, but, like, it's a bit uncanny. We actually took a good amount of time going over this with that history documentary and that article from The Atlantic detailing how Hitler dismantled democracy in, 53 days? About 53 days. Call it just under 2 months. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty uncanny. Watching from Australia, one of our past prime ministers has gotten under Trump's skin. That's funny. I mean, to be fair, it's Trump, Just talk about his hands. Just talk about the size of his hands. Mikey Angles, thank you for the follow. Welcome. The parallels are wild. If I want to learn history, I'll read a book. I don't need to relive it. Seriously.
They wanted it, and the left still gets blamed for it. You can't make this shit up. But I mean, therein lies the problem. See, Democrats actually do know how to fight. It's just that they only choose to fight the left, people in their own party, as opposed to the far right, as opposed to fascists. See, if they resisted Trump half as hard as they resist progressives, we might actually have a chance to save the country. And to be clear, even though we're talking about third way here with regard to this article and what they say, this is what the party basically wants. Most of the party shares their hatred for the left, even if they're less explicit about it, and that includes leadership as well. But don't take it from me, take it straight from the horse's mouth. Because Hakeem Jeffries, in this clip that you're about to watch, is going to conflate the far left, in his own party, by the way, with the far right.
What about aggressively pushing back for the far left? Because they lost you the election.
They did not. Incidentally, that did not happen. This is just like manufactured out of thin air because they can't seem to come to terms with the fact that it's they who screwed up. Okay, it's Democratic leadership who screwed up. It's the corporate professional consultant class. Okay, that screwed up. Okay.
Anybody worth their salt will tell you the extreme left had a lot to do with pulling y'all back from the momentum one would argue you had, obviously, in 2020. What about pushing back against your own party?
Nope.
Listen, extreme.
So what happened, and he incorrectly points out the reason why, okay, because you can see that she did start off more kind of at least a little bit on the stronger side, right? Like even I was kind of huffing the hopium there for a minute. But when it all started to go downhill, and as he points out, lose momentum, is when she started to double down on this like, we're gonna be the same as Biden, or I wouldn't change a thing, things like that. When she started to latch herself to the status quo, which is the thing that people do not want. Okay, the thing that people wanted was change. They're tired of the status quo, and she started to go back to that, and that's where it all started going downhill. I like Walls, but he should have chosen Shapiro. I don't even know if that would have made a difference. I'm gonna be honest. I don't like Shapiro, but I don't think it mattered. I don't think it was gonna matter. The Yazidis and the pro-Palestinian protesters are exactly the same. Not even mentioning Trump meeting Zelensky in the White House never felt more cringeworthy in my entire life. Stephen is annoying and wrong often, loud and wrong. The far left did not lose shit. It's the centrist Dems who are really just Republicans from 20 years ago. Yep.
Extreme left protest me more than they protest Donald Trump. Because literally, wherever I go.
My brother in Christ, they're protesting you to do something, okay? And why are you bothered that people are protesting you? You are a member of Congress. You are the leader of the party in the House, okay? That is supposed to be, ostensibly, the opposition party.
So, I think in part because
centrists are just right-wingers who still want to get laid.
Because I've declined, I've refused, I've chosen not to bend the knee to either people on the far left, and certainly not to Donald Trump and the far right. We all have a responsibility to serve the people we were elected to represent, and the country and
the resistance, everybody. We know the far left is more popular. Look at Bernie and AOC. Of what we have, they are the farthest left. Yeah, like that's the far left. Okay, the far left of advocating for human rights. The far left of advocating for healthcare. Yeah, we're cooked, ladies and gentlemen. We're cooked.
Constitution, and I certainly have not been bashful and will not be bashful in disagreeing with people who are trying to take this country in a direction that doesn't lift everybody up, whether that comes from the right or whether that comes from the far left.
First of all, anyone who equates the far left with a modern-day neo-Nazi movement is not qualified to lead the Democratic Party. If you genuinely cannot tell the difference between the far left, who wants healthcare for everyone, and the far right, who wants healthcare for no one, and a white Christian nationalist ethno-state, you are just a fucking idiot. But not only that, you're a fascist enabler.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, seriously. Get mad already. Exactly. Do
Second
something.
of all, Hakeem Jeffries hasn't bent the knee to the people on the far left because he's already bent the knee to his donors. One of the first groups that Hakeem Jeffries met with after the election to mend fences were Silicon Valley oligarchs who were pissed off that Democrats never gave them as much power as Republicans. That is who Hakeem Jeffries bent over for, bent the knee to. Rich people. That's who he tried to mend fences with, as opposed to the young people and people of color who the party lost in this last election. And that right there is why the Democratic Party doesn't have a vision. It is because they are controlled opposition for all intents and purposes, who are only allowed to do as much as their donors allow them to. And that's why they're not doing what's really needed to fight Donald Trump right now, to organize work stoppages, boycotts, strikes, God forbid a general strike, because their donors won't let them do these things. That's why they don't have a bold progressive vision for the future. They won't offer us Medicare for all because their health industry donors won't let them.
I mean, like, that's kind of like the problem, right? Like, it's not just offering an alternative to Donald Trump, right? It's not just about offering an alternative to Donald Trump, because, like, that's not enough, right? Like, okay, we get it. You're not exactly like the fascist, right? Understood. But you also have to give people something to vote for, right? You have to provide an alternative to Trump and an alternative to the status quo that is not working, okay? Because if all you do is say, well, I'm not, Donald Trump, or I'm not the Republicans, but you still offer, or you still kowtow to the very same system that is hurting people right now, that is not working for people, then you lose. It's that simple. You lose. Democrats are on a leash as a whole. They're just a party I would rather fight at this point. Right. Yeah, essentially.
Why they refuse to stop sending weapons to a country doing a genocide. It's because of all of those donations from the defense industry and from AIPAC. The Democratic Party consists of a bunch of puppets bought and paid for by billionaires and large multinational corporations. And the reason why they scapegoat the far left for all of their problems is because we are the ones demanding that they embrace policies that their donors despise. That right there is why they hate us. But don't get it twisted.
And like, why would we go to a fascist to make demands, right? Like, why would we go to Donald? Why would we go to Donald Trump, right, and make demands of him? We're not there to make demands with Donald Trump. We're there to protest Trump. But the reason why people are showing up against Hakeem Jeffries is because they want him to do something, okay? And he is the leader of the presumed opposition party.
Democrats know how to fight. They've successfully.
We are making demands out of Hakeem Jeffries because he's the one that's supposedly the leader of the leader of the Democratic Party in the House. The reason why people are angry with Chuck Schumer is because he's presumably the leader of the Democratic Party in the Senate. Freaking do something, okay? And stop complaining that people are showing up and people are asking you to do something and people are making demands out of you because this is it, folks. Beery, thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate it. Exactly. Stand up for the people.
Successfully fought the left for years and won every single time. They just made Jerry Connolly the ranking member of the House Oversight Committee over AOC. They rejected progressive DNC chair options back in 2017 and again in 2025. They trot out party elites like Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton and James Carville to stop insurgent progressives from beating incumbent centrist Democrats. They let Republican donors flood Democratic Party primaries with millions and millions of dollars to oust the insurgent progressives that managed to beat the establishment. They sabotaged Bernie Sanders' 2016 campaign from within and united behind Joe Biden to stop him again in 2020, which I guess was preferable to their alternative plan to just straight up steal the nomination away from him at the convention if he only got a plurality of pledged delegates. Every time they've had the opportunity to embrace the wing of their party that actually wants to fight fascists, they've suffocated those movements in the crib. They've told progressives to fuck off every single time, so they know how to fight. It's just that they're very selective about who they choose to fight. The party apparatus and Democratic Party leaders have made it crystal clear that they want nothing to do with the far left and would rather chase after moderate Republican voters who aren't going to expect bold policies that piss off their donors. So make no mistake about it, they are complicit with the rise of fascism. They help to enable it since they've made the choice to ignore the conditions that facilitated the rise of fascism in the first place. They have chosen to offer nothing more than incremental fixes to existential crises because they refuse to do anything that would alienate the people that matter the most to them, their rich donors. They chose them over us. Listen, the reason why Donald Trump won in the first place, as we all know, is because things are bad and Americans know things are bad and they're desperate for change. And that desperation and stupidity makes people susceptible to radicalization. The only way to defeat the far right is to embrace radicalism, albeit a different kind of radicalism. And I know that the Democratic Party wants nothing to do with us. They've made that abundantly clear.
But like, is it really like a radical movement? Like, is it really radical to just ask for to ask for healthcare? Why so dankness? Welcome. True, we can't fight fascists. We're supposed to roll over and play dead to keep the corporate donors happy. True.
But I'm going to speak directly to liberals in the Democratic Party, the voters who also feel frustrated and hopeless in this moment. Listen, the Democratic Party may have rejected the far left, but that doesn't mean that you have to as well. And the next time that there is an opportunity, if we even get one, when you see young people and working class people coalesce around a particular movement, I beg of you, please don't listen to the politicians and the pundits who tell you to keep us out of power. Let us in. Let us in if you want to defeat fascism. And I'll be upfront with you. I'm not a capitalist. That might be scary, but my own radicalization is also the result of the late stage capitalist hellscape that I graduated into. The far left socialists like me, we have the antidote to fascism. And there's only one way out of this hellscape. We are your ticket. Let us in. Embrace our...
Let me in. It's not radical to ask for human rights in the richest country in the world. True. NOK Life, welcome. Hey, ADT, did you see Canada's new PM? I saw that he was the banker dude, right? The governor of... the Bank of England, the former governor of Bank of England and Canada, but no, I did not see his speech. Can we have healthcare? Whoa, slow down there. Slow down there, Skippy. That is exactly what Musk in the end, Trump doesn't want to piss off his big donor. Conveniently, it's a hacker. I suspect Trump gave him all his power for donating and getting him elected. Trump doesn't care what is scorch. Yeah, I mean, Trump is fine. Trump is fine, just kind of coasting, right? Like whatever happens, as long as he stays out of prison. Can I send a short link of him to you? You can check it out later or here if you want. Yeah, send it to me via Whispers. I can definitely check it out later.
Or radicalism, because as it stands now, things are so bad that we've all become radicalized in one way or another. So the choice that we have before us is either right-wing radicalism or left-wing radicalism. Left-wing radicals want healthcare. We want to expand democracy to the workplace. We want housing and education and civil rights and civil liberties and jobs for everyone, whereas the right, those right-wing radicals, they want austerity. They want militarism. They want tax cuts for the rich. So it's either socialism for the rich or socialism for the rest of us. And if you genuinely want to defeat these fascists, you must embrace the far left, because we are the antithesis to fascism. This style of politics that we represent is exactly what's needed at this moment.
Yeah.
So if you want to defeat fascism,
I mean, like, I think that's pretty crystal clear, right? Like, again, it's not just an answer to Trump. It's also an answer to the status quo that is not working. Did you see the video of Musk's son telling Trump he was not the president? Yep. Ah. Yeah.
Permanently, and not just postpone its ascendance for another election cycle or two, if that's even possible at this point. You must embrace the far left, or progressivism, or whatever you want to call it. Embrace it. Don't run away from it, because the far left is pissed off just like you. And we want to fight, unlike Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer. They are perfectly content to just stand by and watch these fascists burn our fucking country to the ground. And we say to hell with that. We say it's time to rise up and stop the fascists from destroying things. It's time to fight. So let us into the party. Stop shutting us out, and we can defeat fascism together.
True. All right, folks, we got to run through some of these headlines. The Supreme Court has turned away red states' bid to block blue states' climate lawsuit. So, hey, that's good, surprisingly. It is kind of interesting that they think that they'll have a place in a fascist society, too. Yeah, I don't know what the play is here, right? Like, do they think... Like, I think, honestly, it's a naivete, right? That they think that somehow fascists will play by the rules. That they think that somehow institutions will hold. Because, like, these Democrats... these more, like, centrist liberals... They think that for some misplaced, right, ideology or misplaced thought process, I don't know what you want to call it, but whatever. The point being is they think that these institutions are forever and sacred, and they think that the fascists hold the institutions the same way that they do. But they don't. The fascists don't care. They have absolutely no problem with taking a sledgehammer to whatever institutions they want, so long as it gets them power, so long as it centralizes their control. They don't think that way. That's the problem here. I think that's one of the many disconnects that these Democratic leaders are having, is that they believe that the institutions are sacred, and they think that, oh, well, they might be Republicans, but, the House rules are the House rules, and they might be Republicans, but the Constitution is the Constitution. They don't they don't care. Okay? Did they not see Elon with the chainsaw? Yeah. They're scrapping the rules on, they're crapping on the rules of democracy and don't care. Right, because unlike, again, I don't know if it's just like them being naive, if they just genuinely have like this dogmatic, entrenched belief that institutions are sacred and they think that everyone else believes that, when that's not the case. I don't know. I don't know. 1 second. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Apparently, there's a lot of smoke in the area. I can actually smell it. It's coming from a controlled burn. Leonard Hanadoy, thank you for the follow. The old institution is filled with old corrupt a-holes that knew how to F our system, knew how to F our lives slowly. The new institution a-holes are filled with people who want to go balls to the walls and F our lives up quickly. They'd rather see us dead than entertain us in their ethno-state. The Supreme Court on Monday today turned away a bid by Republican-led states to block lawsuits brought by a couple of Democratic-led states to seek to hold oil and gas companies accountable for their fossil fuel products' contributions to climate change. The court's decision to stay out of the dispute allows the 5 blue states to pursue lawsuits against the energy industry in their own courts. Justice Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito dissented, of course, from the court's decision to not allow red states to seek its intervention. Our exclusive original jurisdiction over suits between states reflects a determination by the framers in Congress about the need to open and keep open the highest court of the nation for such suits. In recognition of the rank and dignity of the states, Thomas wrote in the dissent joined by Alito, yet this court has, essentially for policy reasons, assumed the power to summarily turn away suits between states. The court today exercises that power to reject a suit involving nearly half the states in the nation, which alleges a serious constitutional violation. Yeah, whatever, dude. Whatever. Corrupt. The two most corrupt justices in the court. I don't care really what they have to say on the issue of constitutionality, of constitutional violations. The novel suits were brought by California, Connecticut, Minnesota, New Jersey, and Rhode Island, and seek to hold energy companies liable for allegedly deceiving the public about dangers of their fossil fuel products. Not allegedly. This is pretty well documented. These fossil fuel companies knew about this. This is not like hidden information. Okay? Fossil fuel companies knew about this for decades. Fossil fuel companies knew about this since like the 70s. Okay? Filed between 2018 and 2023, the suits allege claims arising under state laws would broadly accuse the energy industry for knowing for decades that greenhouse gas emissions would contribute to climate change. The states claimed that oil and gas companies engaged in deceptive marketing by misrepresenting the dangers of their fossil fuel products, which caused the consumers to use more of them. The oil and gas companies sought to move nearly all the cases to federal court, arguing that federal law governs interstate emissions, but the efforts were rejected by the U.S. Court of Appeals. The cases are now proceeding in state courts where they're in their early stages of litigation. So just to be clear, the reason why they want this to go to federal courts is because they think they'll have more favorable outcomes if they keep it to federal. That's why. Oil and gas companies separately asked the Supreme Court to shut down a lawsuit brought by the city of Honolulu that is seeking to hold the industry liable for harms caused by the effects of climate change, but the High Court in January said it could not consider the appeal from the 15 companies, including Sunono and Shell, which cleared the way for the cases to move forward in Hawaii State Court. Alabama and 18 other Republican-led states separately went to the Supreme Court and urged it to exercise its original jurisdiction over a dispute between the states. They asked the High Court to block the civil suits filed by Democratic-led states and prevent other litigation seeking familiar relief in the future. The red states allege that claims pending in state courts seek to regulate activity outside of the blue states' border and involve an area governed by federal law. They argue in a Supreme Court filing that the blue states are seeking massive penalties and relief against energy producers that are not based in their states. But that's nonsense because the effects are happening everywhere. It doesn't matter, right? Like, so what if the factory is 2 states over? If your pollution is destroying, the downstream effects of your pollution is destroying the state 2 states over, then it doesn't matter. If the Democratic-led states succeed, they warned it would have a sweeping impact on the national energy system. Well, maybe we kind of need that, right? If defendant states are right about the substance and reach of the state law, their actions imperil access to affordable energy everywhere and inculpate every state and indeed every person on the planet. The red states wrote, every person on the planet. Huh. Consequently, defendant states threaten not only our system of federalism and equal sovereignty among states, but our basic way of life. So no, because like, again, if your stuff, if your pollution is destroying like the habitat of 2 states over, then like, that's not okay, right? Lunar Spunk, Moanep, Kirkenstein Monster, welcome. Bad Lefty, welcome. But the Attorney General for the blue states told the court that their state court actions seek to address local harms resulting from allegedly unlawful deceptive conduct by the oil and gas companies. They argued, soda account, hey, welcome. Omega Star, welcome. They're so concerned about the habitat while Trump signs a new EO to clear-cut millions of acres of protected land. Yep. I'm getting dumber watching this. I'm sorry to hear that. Dealing with Republicans does take a toll. Hi, ADT. Welcome, Onep. Bad Lefty, welcome. Yeah, boop the like button. And subscribe. Soul Life, welcome. Stuff, please don't make me watch the Jubilee again. No, we're not doing that. No, we're not doing that. They argued that Alabama and red states have not satisfied the governing Supreme Court's exercise of original jurisdiction. It's the same on Twitch. It is. I liked it 10 times. Nice. Yeah, throw a sub in there if you haven't done so. Rio Althea, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Accurately understood, the state enforcement action that Alabama targets does not intrude on the sovereign prerogative of Alabama or any other state. Even if each one of those actions succeeds, Alabama and other states will remain free to pursue their own energy policy goals. But if they screw up other states, that's like not okay. Thank you for the follow, and thank you for the 5 people who subbed on YouTube. Thank you so much. Omega Star, thank you for the follow here. Thank you for the follow here on Twitch. I'm surprised the Surfs got away with Jubilee. I think there's so much happening on screen it confused the censors. Sam did a pretty good job. Sam did a very good job. I mean, like, bless him for having the patience, okay, of dealing with that many MAGA people, because I don't think that I could. But bless him for being able to do that. I think like the most notable exchanges were the one where the person was insisting that government agencies get tax cuts when the government agencies get tax cuts when government agencies don't get tax cuts. They run on tax money because they're government agencies. It just about sent me off my chair. And the other one, of course, was the white nationalist lady. Painfully stupid. And the white nationalist lady, Violet Quinlaw, the guy from the future where all the government agencies are privatized. Yeah, there you go. That's the explanation. Yeah, their taxes are cut to zero. There you go. Surfs Raid, hey Looney Tunes, welcome. Yeah, what's wrong with xenophobes? That was also another one that was just wild. She was scared. It's frightening to see people like her not even being ashamed of their views. Yeah, and like I think Sam kind of just like put it very, succinctly. Like, yeah, you know what? You're just making my argument for me. Like, yeah, like there you go. There you go. Okay, so to recap, the Supreme Court has blocked the red states from stopping these suits from going forward. We will keep track of this because this has been a long time coming. I think we even talked about this when it was first started to happen. So now the road is clear for these lawsuits to go ahead in the states, and we will see what happens. If maybe we can get some type of ruling that would set precedent, that would be really cool. Yeah, Twitch is the same. Same username. A female voter, she literally said she didn't like no-fault divorce. Whew. No understanding of history. She has no idea what orphanages exist look like before no-fault divorce. Yeah. I almost crashed out. Yeah, I mean, listening to those people would have made any sane person crash out. PB was my last birthday wish that I be the last in the Surfs chat. Well, if it's your birthday, happy birthday. Happy birthday. Ontario slaps 25% tax increase on electricity exports to U.S. in response to Trump's trade war. Ontario's premier, the leader of Canada's most popular province, announced that effective Monday is charging 25% more for electricity to 1.5 million American homes and businesses in response to Trump's trade war. Ontario provides electricity to Minnesota, New York, and Michigan. I will not hesitate to increase this charge if the United States escalate. I will not hesitate to shut the electricity off completely, said Premier Doug Ford at the news conference in Toronto. Believe me when I say I do not want this. I feel terrible for the American people who didn't start this trade war. It's one person who is responsible, and it's President Trump. Yep. You can't blame him. Nope. 100%. And the thing is, because of how chaotic this guy is, Trump, the Canadians are going to hang tight on those tariffs until Trump takes them off the table, right? Yeah, stop making Doug Ford look good. Teach me how to, Dougie. I'm so proud of Canada for standing up to the bully. I'm glad they're standing on business. Yep. Ford said Ontario's tariff would remain in place despite the 1-month reprieve from Trump, noting a 1-month pause meant nothing more but uncertainty. Quebec is also considering taking similar measures with electricity exports to the U.S. Minnesota receives only a small share of electricity from Ontario, but Democratic Governor Tim Walz was sharply critical of Trump's action that led to Monday's announcement from Ford. The first victim of Trump trade war, Minnesotans struggling to pay their skyrocketing electric bill. Tim Walz tweeted with a link of a story about Ontario's move. Minnesotans cannot afford a Trump billionaire-run economy. We have to put a stop to the madness. But Minnesota Power, the main electrical utility serving the part of Minnesota that borders Ontario, gets only a small portion of its power from the province, the company spokesperson Amy Rutledge said. Minnesota Power bought $300,000 worth of electricity from Ontario last year, and only 4 months out of the year. The utility serves over 150,000 customers, mostly with power it generates itself from Minnesota. She said, while it gets 11% of power supply from Manitoba, Hydro, she said, that's not affected by Ontario's announcement. We really expect any impact on our customers to be negligible. Midcontinent Independent System Operator, the organization that manages a regional power grid that stretches from Manitoba to Minnesota to Louisiana, also expect little effects, said spokesperson Brandon Morris. MSIO gets half of its power from Canada and less than half that comes from Ontario. Ford's office said the new market rule requires any generator selling electricity to the U.S. to add a 25% surcharge. Ontario's government expects to generate revenue of 300,000 Canadian dollars, or 208,000 American to 400,000, about 277 per day, which will be used to support Ontario workers, families, and businesses. The new surcharge is additional in addition to the federal government's initial 30 billion Canadian dollar worth of retaliatory tariffs applied on items like orange juice, peanut butter, coffee, appliances, footwear, cosmetics, motorcycles, and certain pulp and paper products. I hate this. Me too. My dogs are goth. So Americans are states are tariffing each other now? No, this is just Canadian tariffs. I keep getting Rob and Doug confused with Bob and Doug McKenzie. The right wing can't wait to start selling weapons of war to all 50 states. Oof. The smell of this smoke is just is starting to permeate through the studio. Trump is trying to destabilize Canada enough to take us over. That's what he thinks. That's what he thinks. Trump launched a new trade war last week by imposing tariffs against Washington's 3 biggest trading partners, drawing immediate retaliation from Mexico, Canada, and China, and sending financial markets into a tailspin, which, incidentally, today, the markets also opened up pretty bad. Trump later, he said he also postponed the 25% tariffs on many goods from Canada and Mexico for a month amid a widespread fear of a broader trade war. Ford estimated it would add about $100 Canadian a month to the bills of each American affected. It needs to end until these tariffs are off the table. Until the tariffs are gone for good, Ontario will not relent. So there you have it. Trump has urged automakers to move production from Canada to Mexico to the U.S. last week. Yeah, like this is so beyond dumb because like this needs years of planning. Like, in order for tariffs to be used in a way that they're supposed to be used, you have to have the infrastructure set up, right? Like, the whole idea behind tariffs is that you make domestic goods more appealing. But if you don't have a domestic manufacturing, like, system going, infrastructure going, then it doesn't really do much except, like, crash the economy, right? Like, you don't have a domestic alternative, which is the whole purpose of tariffs. I mean, it just... This is just, like, beyond stupid. With the electric tariffs, Trump will lose Michigan next election. I hope so. There's a pile of default and auto companies that are sitting on $100 billion debt each, and a lot of them offered their own finance. Oof. Right, you have to make the goods to start with, and the tariff needs to make the imported goods more than the domestic goods. Right. Yeah, it's beyond dumb. Makes no sense for this year. Like, it makes no sense at all, quite frankly. We have zero infrastructure to make manufacturing at all. Trump doesn't understand these very simple concepts. Yep. $25% tariffs on $8,000 digger won't make it cost $30,000 like its U.S. equivalent. He wants to look intimidating and have leverage over different countries. Yeah, so he thinks. You don't have the cards. You don't have the cards. Trump's job is to create chaos, and he's very good at it. That I'll give him. That I will give him. It's just a tax by another name. He found a way to get Republicans to cheer for taxes. And Trump went to an Ivy League business school. You'd think at least some of it would have stuck. You would think so, but yeah. The Trump administration scraps over 80% of USAID programs, top diplomat Rubio says. The Trump administration has closed more than 80% of programs and 5,200 contracts at the USAID. Secretary of State Little Marco has said as his department concluded its review of the agency charged with dispensing overseas aid. So, yeah, cool. The cancellations were official following the State Department's 6-week review, Rubio said in a post on his personal account on Twitter. They reflected contracts that have spent tens of billions of dollars in a way that they not serve, and in some cases even harmed, the core national interests of the United States. We intend for the remaining programs we keep approximately 1,000 to now be administered more effectively under the State Department, he said, and thanked the DOJ led by billionaire Elon Musk. Cool. Rubio will be the first to go. I'll call fake news. No way he damn ever had a single lesson on economics. He cheated daddy Trump on his degree. He truly doesn't give AF as long as he rides it all above all and is never held accountable. Yeah. Republican U.S. President Trump ordered a 90-day pause on all foreign aid payments in his first day of office. Aid groups have reported chaos and confusion. Thousands of staff have been placed on leave or fired, have been left stranded. I mean, the repercussions that this is going to have is tremendous. Trump has tasked close advisor Musk with dismantling USAID as part of a push to shrink federal government. and of course our soft power. So for better or for worse, that's kind of like how we project soft power. And no mention of the national security issue of TikTok. True. Trump has tasked. Meanwhile, U.S. foreign aid organizations have sued the Trump administration over its funding freeze and said they are owed more than $671 million for past work. A federal court has ordered the funds to be paid by a Monday deadline. For programs where initial cuts have been reversed, some foreign aid groups have said that as of last week, restored funds have yet to arrive. So that's the plan. Particularly because USAID made a good point of using U.S. goods. Yeah, and also, like, this will have a profound effect on domestically, too, right? Like, all the aid that gets provided comes from somewhere, right? It doesn't just, like, magically appear. It comes from somewhere, say, like, farmers who grow that food here. You just canceled like $54 billion in domestic demand. Yeah. Farmers, have fun. Have fun. At least he hasn't promised we'll be tired of winning since the first election. Yeah, just like the Ukrainian arms all spent in the U.S. All right, folks, we got one more important story, and then that's it. Arrest of pro-Palestinian protester shows escalation in Trump deportation efforts. So, yeah, legal, documented immigrants are on the table if they have the wrong politics. In each of the 50 states, too. Is Soul Life banned? No, I just saw them. I literally just saw them. I could have sworn I just saw them. The deep state. Yeah, I mean, but they literally just posted not that long ago. YouTube, leave Soul Life alone. Yeah, like there's, by the way, there's no there is no moderator on YouTube unless it got auto-modded, except me. No. This happened on YouTube, apparently. But I can't see it either. How do I go to my own channel? Oh, that's a cat video. How do I go to my own? You can see what he says, but no one else can. That is fascinating, actually. Huh. So he can type, but no one else can see. I've never seen that before. I mean, you're welcome to go on Twitch. It does happen to a few of us. Okay, so it's not like an isolated incident? I don't know. Live chat. Open the panel. Honestly, I can't even see... Engage with your audience. No. Yeah, I don't even see where... First they just hide chats. It doesn't seem like it. Then if you trigger it too much, they silence all your chat for like 12 hours. Oh, okay. I didn't know that was a thing. So it's like an automatic thing. Okay, YouTube. Well. I'm sure they'll be out by tomorrow. I didn't know YouTube did that. The moderation tools on YouTube is so they're not as intuitive. And pretty much people can set it off just by reporting you. Gotcha. Yeah, like the Twitch First Amendment suggestion. The Twitch moderation is much easier. Like I don't even have to ban people, right? Like I can just, time out and warn people. I can flag messages, but YouTube is just very, it's not good as far as like my options here. You can see what you all say though. Oh, okay. Well, that's beyond strange. Yeah, sucky. There you go. Hey, B-Cat, welcome. Got so much for free speech. Not Soul Life. Okay. Not Soul Life. Sorry you're in YouTube jail or whatnot. I don't know. Even if it's just enough people, a report will get you silenced. Wow. All right, folks, we got to do this last story here. Mahmoud Khalil, a recent graduate student from Columbia University and green card holder, was arrested by ICE, the Gestapo, over the weekend. It was likely one of the first high-profile detentions of a student who participated in protests against the genocide. The arrest follows through one of President Trump's executive actions, which directed the government to use all of its tools to punish those who engage in protests against genocide. The executive action cites a federal law that authorizes deporting a foreign national who endorses and espouses the anti-genocide sympathies. The move is an escalation in Trump's effort to increase deportation from the U.S. and strip protections from those who violate the new administration's priorities. In a social media post on Monday, Trump said the arrest was the first of many to come. He vowed his administration will find, apprehend, and deport these anti-genocide protesters from our country, never to return again. Michael Thaddeus, a mathematics professor at Columbia University, said the move to seek to strip Khalil's green card and deport him violate the broader trust from foreign students who come to study in the U.S. They come because their trust and belief that they could speak out freely while they're here and not to be imprisoned or harassed because of their political speech or activism or advocacy. Yeah, I think it's the auto mod setting. I'm being censored weirdly, but yeah, possibly. I'll have to play around with that. I've never tested how far YouTube goes, or if I can even finagle with the auto mod settings. But we see you. We see you now. Oh, but freedom of speech. Like, unironically though, this is really bad. Anyways, I'm sure with It's So Life was here. Grandma is gaming. Send that to me via Whispers, and I'll take a look at it later. And all green card holders, it costs us money, and to renounce U.S. citizenship and our taxes, no matter what, and your tax, no matter where you move to. Someone reported me. I don't know. That's what YouTube chat is informing me, that apparently you can silence somebody by reporting them. Khalil was one of the pro-Palestinian students who negotiated on behalf of the campus protesters who pressed Colombia to divest over Israel for its genocide in Gaza. Amy Greer, Khalil's attorney, told NPR that the Gestapo arrested Khalil in the lobby of his university-owned apartment. First, they told Khalil, who's a president of Palestinian descent, that his student visa had been canceled. But he's not on a visa. He's on a legal permanent resident. He's a legal permanent resident. His wife went to get his green card from their apartment, but officers said his lawful permanent residency had been revoked. Oh, here we are. I see what you're saying. The gazpacho, you mean? Oh, this is what we were talking about earlier. Anonymous hacking group takes credit for the cyber attack on X today, in what could be a bold declaration that reignites fears over digital warfare and cyber activism, which, okay. The hacktivist collective group, Anonymous, has claimed responsibility for a massive cyber attack on Twitter. We say could be because there's little uncertainty over whether or not the posting is really from Anonymous or a possible impersonator. There is a debate going on, and we don't know until we see how this plays out. But if it turns out to be a coordinated effort from the group, which had been mostly quiet in recent years, it could be a huge development. So, yeah. MSLA make Elon will still blame Ukraine. Yeah, Elon does deserve that. There are a lot of furries just cut from the military, not saying. Because I'm old and new metal was a thing when I was a teen. Oh, come on. That means I'm old too. Don't say that. The following message was posted on the domain OP Dreadnought. Anonymous, Operation Dreadnought. We are here to fight against the fascism that has taken root in America. The Republican Party, MAGA, Trump, and Musk are imbeciles who are drunk on power and get off on trampling down on others. The American people are suffering for it. The world is suffering for it. Those are some of the worst people on the planet, hell-bent on destroying it and everyone on it. They lack morals, empathy, common decency, and any sense that we are a community. They are not kings. They do not speak for the people. They will be removed. We are Anonymous. We are Legion. We do not forgive. We do not forget. Expect us. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty standard Anonymous So, yeah, I mean, I believe it. I keep typing into my regular chat window by mistake. Well, I mean, we see you, so. 67 and young at heart. There we go. Quote, I demand to see a warrant or have a warrant shown to me or Mr. Khalil before they removed him, and the agent hung up the phone on me, said Greer. Greer said Mr. Khalil was under the impression that as a lawful permanent resident, that he had some modicum of protection that may not exist for people who do have student visas or who are undocumented. His wife, a U.S. citizen, later discovered he had been transferred to a detention facility in Louisiana. Green cards are also known as lawful permanent residency, allow people to live, work, and travel as a U.S. citizen would. They can be revoked by an immigration judge for various reasons, including fraud in the application process or criminal activity, which neither of that is criminal activity. Protesting, okay, is not criminal activity. If I have a permanent residence in removal proceedings, most of the time it's because of criminal activity, said Kylie Stump, president of the American Immigration Lawyer Association, adding that once placed in immigration proceedings, only an immigration judge can revoke that green card. The government bears the burden of proving the reason that this person is deportable from the United States, and then just deporting on what grounds we're looking at, that's when the fight ensues. DHS spokeswoman Tricia McLaughlin said Khalil had been arrested in support of Trump's executive order on anti-Semitism, and that Khalil had led activities aligned to Hamas, a designated terrorist organization. Yeah, whatever, dude. Separately, in a post on Twitter, Secretary of State Marco Rubio linked to a story about Khalil's arrest and wrote, the administration would be revoking the visas or green cards of Hamas supporters so that they can be deported. We will vigorously be pursuing Mohammed's right in court, and we will continue our efforts to right this terrible and inexcusable and calculated wrong committed against him. Yeah. I'd hug you, but I have TYT residue. How can you deport someone for having an opinion? Yep, this is the state of things. Trump wants to declare laws of his own making. Yep. Several groups planned rallies and gatherings around Manhattan on Monday in protest of Khalil's arrest. Thaddeus, the professor, said the campus community was surprised that ICE's first target was someone with a green card rather than someone without legal status, calling it horrifying and a bit unexpected. No, I think it is expected, but I think, like, horrifying nonetheless, right? Horrifying nonetheless, because I mean, we were told this was going to happen, right? It doesn't matter. Your green card will not protect you, right? Your supposed legal status will not protect you. You being documented doesn't mean anything. Columbia University said it had seen reports of ICE officers around campus and at the university and has and will continue to follow the law. Yeah. Okay. Consistent with our long-standing practice and the practice of cities and institutions throughout the country, law enforcement must have a judicial warrant to enter non-public university areas, including university buildings. They're stomping all over rights and freedoms. Yep. The U.S. still has executive power vested in one man. It's not a proper parliamentary democracy. It's still a bit stuck back in the era of King George. Some of the best neighbors I've had were not English speaking. Sorry, Chad. Excuses, but green card still, but still brown skin. Yep. Yeah, if you look brown or you are advocating for you're advocating against genocide, then yeah, you're subject to be removed. During Trump's first term, he took steps towards limiting visas for foreign nationals and revoking people's immigration status, including denaturalization or canceling someone's status as a naturalized citizen. Towards the end of his last term, Trump's Justice Department created a section within the Immigration Office to focus on denaturalization. The New York Times reported at the time that about 40% of the 228 denaturalization cases the DOJ had ever filed were brought during Trump's 4 years in office. Jesus Christ. The USCIS also launched a task force to review whether people may have lied during their immigration application proceedings in order to get citizenship. But immigration law experts have said the number of people who might lie on forms is very small compared to the millions of people who are naturalized or receive green cards each year. That green-skinned woman on Star Trek? Ah. As an Irishman, the English make the worst neighbors. Lies somehow become truth. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but the Trump administration reopened that place along the border that housed children at the border. Yes. I want to say it was something pass, wasn't it? Something pass in Texas. I like the color teal. When you believe in alternative facts, when you believe alternative facts are possible, it's over. Brownsville Eagle? No, not Eagles Pass. Is it Eagles Pass? It might be. I forget. I'm gonna have to look that up. Where is it? This might be it. Reopening Carnes and Dilley Detention Center in Texas. This might be it. Oh, it's a private one. Here, we got a short TLDR.
Here. Hi, my name is Aaron Torres. I am a reporter with the Dallas Morning News. I cover immigration and politics out of Austin.
This is what Grandma Gaming sent me.
Pass, Texas. We're here today because Vice President J.D. Vance, as well as other members of Donald Trump's cabinet, made a trip down to Eagle Pass. It's the first time Vice President Vance has been to the U.S.-Mexico border since the administration took office on January 20th. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard spoke about some of the enforcement actions that the administration has been taking, including sending troops and soldiers down to the border and really ramping up enforcement.
Border security is national security.
Our mission is very clear.
Our objective is to keep the American people safe. I'm grateful to be a part of this team that President Trump
Yeah.
has assembled.
Vice President
Keep
Vance
them safe from the very scary brown people.
also asked that migrants should begin self-removing themselves.
If you're here illegally, the message from our administration is you should go back home, and if you want to come to the United States, apply through the proper channels.
Is this for housing families? Why the machine guns? Intimidation? Thank God Biden didn't consider family detention. Welcome, Magoki. Good to see you. Go back to the couch. Too many Disney villains with him, though. I do agree. I do kind of like the Widow's streak. That I didn't know that was what it was called. I just call it the rogue look, okay? Learn something new every day if you try. True. I thought it was Peak, but I don't know. No, Widow's Peak is something else. Widow's Peak is a hairline, right? Like it looks like a W or like a V. Does anyone, so does Musk strike as anyone else, like as a Lex Luthor? No, Lex was actually way more complex. And way more intelligent and surgical. On the bright side, the U.S. was the only nay vote in the UN on International Day of Hope. Cool. Way to go. Musk is not that smart. He just thinks he is. Yep. Way to go, U.S. Lex from the one of the poorly done X-Men knockoffs. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. It's almost 8 o'clock, and I need to eat. Timu Lex, there you go. Something funny with all his bluster. Mux has a trans child. Yeah, which he completely, like, doesn't even acknowledge at all. It is sad. No one voted for Elon. True. Thank you for so much for the stream. I surely enjoyed it. Thank you. I appreciate you hanging out. It is very sad. Thank you, ADT. Thank you guys for hanging out. I appreciate it. All right, folks, it's time for me to get out of here. It's almost 8 o'clock. When do you usually stream? Monday through Thursday. Monday through Thursday about 5 p.m. Eastern time. Usually it takes me a couple minutes, but yeah, usually about 5 p.m. Eastern time. Monday through Thursday. Make your channel less strict in the settings, please. Yeah, I got to check that out as to why that happened. I'm glad I was sent over. Thank you. And I appreciate you guys from the YouTube crew hanging out. Thank you. And keep spreading the word, folks. We're here Monday through Thursday around 5 p.m. Eastern time. Thank you. If you're on the YouTube side, just keep hitting that like button and keep subscribing. We have 292 at this point, so 2 more have subscribed. Thank you to the new subscribers. Thank you for hanging out in chat. Did you see when they asked Musk about what oversight Doja is and kid answered none? Yeah, I mean, the kid gets it from somewhere, right? The kid gets it from somewhere. No doubt about it. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. We'll be back. 20 likes now. Hey, thank you. we'll be back tomorrow around 5 p.m. Eastern Time. And thank you for the new follows on Twitch. Thank you for the support on Twitch as well. There have been several of you that have come over and hit that follow button. We're at 2,526. Thank you for the subscriptions. Thank you for the gifted sub. I appreciate it. Thank you, Heat. Thank you, Michael Hester, for modding the chat. I appreciate it. Folks, we'll be back tomorrow as always. Wait. Before I go, make sure you join the Discord, folks. If you want to keep up with the channel, next week the streams will be a bit limited. There may be 1-2 streams, ground level news, because I will be not here. So just keep in mind, join the Discord for updates. So again, thank you guys for being here. We'll be back tomorrow. If you want to support the channel, check out the merch store. Check out the ! tip to support the channel directly. As always, folks, please stay safe. Please take care of each other. I love you all, and I hope to see you guys in the next one tomorrow, 5 p.m. Eastern. See ya. Yeah, I got you on the Discord. All right, folks, hang tight. We're heading out in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Bye-bye.